All right, so welcome to Empathic Dreamwork. I'm your host, James Prieto. Today we're gonna be sampling and experimenting with Empathic Dreamwork based on the work of, actually it comes from Jung, but Bill Plotkin and his Soulcentric Dreamwork, which I'm merging with nonviolent communication. As we'll see later in the presentation, empathic actually dream work in general is a form of self-empathy. So I'm pretty excited to share that with you today. And before we get started, I'd like to start with a little poem. I like poetry because it inspires that deep imagination, which is so important in dream work and also in cultivating wholeness, which we'll talk about later. This is by David White. What you can plan is too small for you to live. What you can live wholeheartedly will make plans enough for the vitality hidden in your sleep. To be human is to become visible while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others, and to remember the other world in this world is to live in your true inheritance. So today's workshop is a little snapshot, a brief introduction to this 10-week series called Wild Heart, Journey to the Connected Self You Always Wanted. And if you want more information about that, you can click here, but it starts on Tuesday, November 21st, and you can attend the first session as well. A little bit about me. I've been practicing nonviolent communication since, 2002, 2001, around that time. And it's been basically a door into my my inner work, my personal life, and also my interpersonal life. And what I've discovered in the last 5 or 6 years or so has been this complementary work from Bill Plotkin, specifically in his book Wild Mind. And I'm basically apprenticing to become a guide in that. So I've completed all of the coursework for level 1. So that's what I'll be sharing with you a little bit today. And NVC is stands for nonviolent communication, is a way of focusing our attention in ways that contribute to compassionate giving and receiving. And Marshall has this book, Nonviolent Communication, and he calls it a language of life. And here is the NVC Tree of Life, which was created by Inbel Kashtan, another NVC trainer. She's no longer with us, but her legacy lives on. And it has this tree showing the 3 conscious ways of focusing our attention. And the roots of the tree have this thing called self-empathy, which is kind of an inward reflection on what's alive in me. And as you go up the tree into the leftmost branch, you have this empathic listening to the experience of the other person, like what's alive in you. And also the other branch is self-expression, what's alive in me. So telling the other person, telling the world, what's my experience happening right now. So the cool thing about this model, which starts with the root system of the tree, is that there's a lot more to the practice if you consider that the roots of the tree are plugged into the earth. So the roots of the tree are underground, in the unconscious. And what we're going to be focusing on today is the portion of our practice, our MDC practice, which includes self-empathy and self-connection. So dream work itself is a form of self-empathy. So we're extending our NVC practice through Bill Plotkin's Wild Mind. Right now, this is an active area of research for me. If you're interested, you can click here. I guess you don't have, I haven't given you the slides yet, but I will shortly. You can read about the various dimensions of the intersection, the complementarity of the two modalities. Let me go ahead and give you the slides right now. So in case some people like to look and take notes at the same time. So I'll do that. So giving you the slides. And so a lot of what we're going to be doing in the series is around cultivating wholeness, like reawakening the dimensions of ourselves, which we need to live fully and also for self-healing. So we'll be learning how to use this 7-directional map of the psyche for cultivating wholeness and self-healing. And the main point that he makes is rather than focusing on the things that are broken, that you need a place, you need to cultivate wholeness so that the psyche has a place to go after you've done some self-healing. And the self-healing is about identifying and interacting with what he calls subpersonalities. Other people call them parts, or they're sort of like the protective, wounded parts of ourselves that need a place to go. So that is essentially what that series is all about. And one of the big questions that that we focus on in our work, especially the inner work of nonviolent communication, is: am I reacting or am I choosing? And so, if I happen to be in this unconscious phase, then I'll get some triggers coming in, and I'll be in this reactivity. And at this point, when we're in the unconscious phase, we kind of have these automatic reactions, fight, flight, freeze, or appease. And so what we're trying to do is, in our conscious NVC practice, is to awaken so that we can be at choice. So once we're in this place of choosing, cultivating wholeness is one of the things that we do while we're awake, so that we have the resources available to us when we need them. And choosing NVC self-empathy and self-healing are also part of that. And self-healing, just a little bit about that, is about basically having conscious conversations with your protective parts, with your protective versions of yourself. And then occasionally, we go back to sleep into our unconscious phase. So dream work is one of these practices that will help us to merge or integrate the unconscious in helping it to become conscious. So dream work's a great way of making that connection. And the other things that we can do to become more aware of our unconscious is to acknowledge with our and interact with our subpersonalities to bring them into consciousness. And I guess we talked about this already. On the conscious side, cultivating wholeness, self-healing in our nonviolent communication, self-empathy practice. So this is, I'm big into context, and after this, we're going to be going more into the dream work part of the workshop. But this is a simplified, but it's the extended circle of wholeness. And the windows of knowing are the ways that we learn about the world, that the ways in which we perceive and gain knowledge about the world. So so in the East, and we start with full present sensing, and we're bringing in some of the traditions of using nature as a guide for organizing our, for actually just acknowledging the different facets of the self. And so the NVC component, which is kind of a subset of the, being fully present to your senses, is observation. And as we move to the south, you might imagine, hey, in the south, we're at the hottest part of the day, and our window of knowing of the south is full-bodied feeling. And there happens to be, the NVC component for that is totally matches it, is feelings by themselves. As we move to the west, the metaphor time of day is dusk, and the window of knowing is deep imagination. And in the NVC realm, we are focused on the imagination of, why are we having a feeling? Like, what's happening right now? What does my imagination say that I need in this moment? So connecting with our needs is the component of the West. And as we move towards midnight, our heart-centered thinking has been used to set up all the processes for caring for the village. So heart-centered thinking is our way of supporting ourselves and learning and contributing to the world. And the NVC component related to that is our request. And this is a map created by Bill Plotkin, and he puts the unconscious subpersonalities in the middle of the circle, because these are the things that are sort of like, that have grown up with us, helping us to survive in our life. And dreams happen to be in the West. And dreams are really helpful in helping us to identify the shadow elements of our psyche. All right. So, so pausing. I'm big into context, understanding, sort of like we're setting up little ropes from the beginning to make sure that we can find our way through and get our way back. So just pausing for questions or comments, and also for me to take a little drink of water. Crystal, go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Thanks. So I found the last slide interesting with the cardinal directions and categories. And I noticed on the inside, under the subconscious, there was the dream work in, I believe, the West. And I wondered if there was one for each of the cardinal directions in the subconscious.
Yes, yeah, they're different, definitely different subpersonalities for each of the directions. Hoping not to go into that right now, because there's so much information. I was just curious.
Already, yeah, please continue.
Yeah, kind of a teaser, like the escapist is in the East, the wounded child in the South, and the loyal soldiers in the North, like the inner critic is up there in the North. A lot of thinking. Thanks for asking. All right. Tree, go ahead.
Hey, I don't know if I'm taking this too literally, but as far as directions go, but is there, or if I missed this when you were sharing, but the dreams in the West, would it matter like where you place your bed?
That's a great question. I might have to experiment with that one. Um, not as far as I know, but it could make a difference for you. Like especially if you have a dream that says "Seek West, my child," or something like that. I don't know. But one of my practices, like when if we get into like self-healing work, like through a 4-directional circle, then one of the ways that I find helpful is to like stand in the middle of the circle and acknowledge sort of my understanding of the 4 directions as I'm facing each one, and so that's one way of, I guess, cultivating wholeness. It's part of the cultivating wholeness practice, and then you can actually step into the different energies and let them speak for themselves. So yeah, was that helpful? So yeah, 4-direction circles can be really, really helpful in terms of cultivating wholeness and also part of the self-healing process. All right. I say we move into the next phase, which is more of the experiential interactive, and I'm gonna toggle the video.